All right, there we go. I believe we are streaming. Okay, cool. So as I was saying, it's just an interesting time and energy in the world right now. So I felt really called to host a big group gathering for quantum healing. We have quite a few people registered tonight, so we'll see how it goes in terms of the interactions. So what we might do is use the chat a little bit more tonight, and then I'll call people up when we do some kinds of reflections. But essentially, just the layout for this evening would be speaking about a couple of admin things, and then also doing a few questions and reflections, and then straight into a little bit of description and explanation around quantum energy healing and that sort of thing, even a little bit about the science behind some energetic concepts. And then we'll do the healing itself and have some time for reflections afterwards. I also have some products I'm really excited to also share with many of you. Many of you have asked. And then we'll also have some Q&A. So we have a lot ahead of us this evening. So I hope you're excited as I am. Before we even begin, many of you are also expecting the blueprint in your inbox, so the Empath Elevation Blueprint. So you'll be getting that directly after the event. It's live, so it's up and ready, and you'll be receiving it. Those of you that have downloaded the app and made your introduction in the community. So I'm also quite keen about that. And then, of course, we have some of the other things coming out, and even just doing this big event today. So a lot of stuff happening today. I couldn't be more keen and excited, and we'll hop right into it. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen because I see we still have some people coming in. And also just be easier for you to see those questions. There we go. Let's do that. So, the first question for tonight is going to be this over here. So let me know if you guys can see my screen. I'll make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Let me know if that's clear. So just to set their intention for the healing tonight, I thought, let's just reflect on, essentially what's holding us back right now. And it can really be anything. It can be some kind of energy block. It can be your interactions or connections with other people, anxiety, melancholy, lack of direction, any of those sorts of things. So just to set the tone, let's reflect on that. So get out a piece of paper or write it on a notepad or your device, wherever you feel comfortable. Welcome. All right, and I'm going to also add the next questions. How does this thing that you're thinking of, or these things, these blocks, also affect your everyday life? So just being, a human, or just interacting throughout your day. For example, if you have anxiety, is it something that causes you to often procrastinate doing certain things? Does it make you nervous or not want to even leave the house? Those types of things. So how does it impact your everyday life? And then the next one, you guys can start working so long for the people that have already been here. The newcomers can also see it in the meantime. What would you feel like if you didn't have this obstacle? It's important to also just think of the positive, right? So we can get so stuck in hey, welcome Cassandra. So for the newcomers, we're just essentially starting off with reflecting on some questions. I did it this way just because exactly for this reason. So if people can't come exactly at the the exact time, then they won't miss the energy healing. So we'll get started with the questions first. We'll do a little bit of intros in terms of quantum energy healing, as well as some other background, and then we'll move on to the actual healing work itself. So yeah, the last question I was asking, the positive, how would your life feel if you didn't have these obstacles? Because it's really easy to get stuck in the this is my way of life, or these are these things holding me back, the stuck energy that you may be feeling, or these energy blocks or whatever. But let's also just switch gears a bit and say, well, what would your life feel like? Would it feel freeing? Would it feel empowering? Would you feel confident? How would you feel without these obstacles? Just more yourself, whatever. So just write those down on your piece of paper or on your device. And then we'll do the last question for now. And just like, what have you tried so far in terms of actually fixing this? If it's anxiety, have you seen a therapist? If it's a certain kind of pattern, have you tried a different routine or habitual change? If it's an energy block, have you seen someone for that? What have you done in general? Or have you done meditations? What have you done to actually try? And obviously I'm assuming that it hasn't really worked much, because of the fact that it's still something holding you back right now. But what have you tried? It's sometimes good to just reflect on what didn't work, rather than keep trying the same things as well. And it's also useful for everyone else to be aware of all those things, aware of what others have done. And yeah, for now, like I said, we'll be using the chat more this evening, just because it's a bigger group. But yeah, if anyone wants to come up and just share some kind of reflection of anything that may be holding them back, and share it with the group, it's a safe space. You're welcome to do that. Or also just share it in the chat, so we can have some kind of also interaction and just feel like, we're not alone. We all have very similar struggles. It's not as much as we sometimes feel like we're alone in this. We're really not. That's a good one. So we've got one in the chat. What's holding me back? Being my authentic self around people who don't understand spirituality. Yeah, this is something that I used to be nervous of, because the things I speak of, the type of work that I do, even now when people ask, what do you do? It's quite out there, right? It's quite out there. But one thing I did notice was that how it impacts me. I can't be myself, makes me sad, frustrated. Yeah. Therapy doesn't work. Yeah. What I found when I switched mindset, in the sense that I really stopped caring what people think. Um, and I really stopped caring. It just changed for me dramatically in the sense that it the people that were even skeptical of any type of energies or the other side or spirits, all those types of talk, the afterlife, um, even became inspired by the fact that I would talk about these things unapologetically, that I just started being who I was unapologetically. And it's quite funny that I can't tell you how many people have told me, yeah, like, I don't really understand or really see things like that, but like, I admire what you're doing. Um, because they can also sense it. People sense when you're in your unapologetic self, when you can truly just be in your own true expression. Because no matter who you are and where you come from, what your background is, or what your beliefs are, you want to be able to express your true authenticity. And so that's always inspiring. Larry, what's holding me back is having a muscular degenerative disease. Yeah, that's also tough when it's something also physical. And unfortunately, even science, as much as they've done, it still hasn't come far enough. Ian, I can't predict the future. I won't step forward. The unknown is scary. That's a big one. A lot of the people I work with, um, it's a big fear, and it sometimes holds you back of moving forward, or having a momentum in your true path, in your the essence of why you're here. Yeah. All right. And what have people tried? Love to see a little bit more. So we've got therapy so far, holding me back, embracing my authentic self, spiritual self, pushes most people away. It's very true. It's very true. I completely resonate and understand that. But again, it's nothing in life is expressed in our environment without there being some internal belief system, internal pattern, or internal energy. And I see it on the daily. Um, and that's also the intention for tonight, right? Is just to have a little bit more understanding and talk about some of those concepts and those perceptions. Megan, you've tried some therapy, exploring metaphysics. Very cool. All right. Well, while some more people are typing in the chat, I think we can go ahead and share a little bit more about the outcome. Well, the goals for tonight. Of course, it's healing, but also I would like to share some of my own experiences and my own understandings of the roots of many of these concepts, many of these things. So we can go ahead and do that, but I'll just keep monitoring the chat as we go. Studying quantum physics, worlds, people's reaction to our authentic selves is a reflection of them. Very true. What's difficult is staying in our own power in spite of not letting it affect us. Very true. So that's the thing. It's the embodiment, right? Not just the knowing. You tried stem cells, eye injections, good diet, exercise, attitude. But you can also try the attitude of acceptance. Yeah. Very true. Very good. Okay. Well, let's move into quantum energy healing. Now the intention for tonight would not be to heal any kinds of physical ailments, at least not for the short term. It's going to be more focused on a foundation. Dying alone, no life partner, no sense of belonging, having a best friend or inner circle of friends. Yeah, people moving away. Very real fears and very real pains and difficulties and experiences, right? Okay. Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to trust that there's no one else arriving later. I know there is one or two, but we can just share the questions with them in chat. So yeah, the beauty is also quantum energy healing knows no time and space, meaning you don't even have to be live right now for the effects to work. So even people watching the replays, and even some of the remote healing work, a lot of the work I actually do is remote. So I'll often do like some kind of meditation session and that type of thing. And then after that session, I would then do remote work. So go into a deep trance state and then assist those people. But before we jump into the mechanics of what that is and stuff, I just wanted to say that, anxiety, depression, lack of energy, confidence, direction, belonging, all of these things that are said here, embracing yourself, all of those things, they're all essentially symptoms, right? They're symptoms of the same root beliefs. And it's also a disconnect from your true power. If you're in your true power, these things don't manifest into your environment, into your experience. And it's like, well, hey, Ken, like, how can I always be in my true power? Yeah, good question. That is a whole topic and conversation. But before we dive into that, I just want you to know that this is not a way to live forever. You don't have to live that way forever because it is 100% curable. And the lack of belief that it is even curable is already giving your power away. Now, it's not to say to become attached to the outcome, because that is also then indulging in the idea that you are not perfect and you are not right. And again, also a counterproductive perspective. But again, science, like you were saying, Larry, you've tried so many things, and science is unfortunately still a long way from where we need to be, because it's still looking at things through a narrow lens. It's looking at things as symptoms and not a complex, holistic view. So you have a headache, here's a painkiller. And it's like, great, I don't have a headache anymore. But why are we not asking, why was the headache there in the first place? Same with therapy. I have anxiety. It's like, here's 10 ways to manage that every day. It's like, well, so I'm just labeled as anxious, and that's the label I have to carry for the rest of my life? Is that what it is? And so you'd pay hundreds of dollars, every week to see a therapist and to have some kind of help on your traumas and your childhoods, or all sorts of things, which is great because it's a great to have that sort of support and that focus. But unfortunately, it's still looking at things as symptoms and not roots, because healing and transformation all starts at the roots of childhood learnings, the roots of traumas, shadows, ancestral patterns, even sometimes other lifetimes. So it's difficult to often face these things because it's been suppressed for so long that it can also become basically a state of comfort zone, not to step out of that. And a lot of the people I also work with, their biggest fear is actually dealing with the shadow itself, because it's just been that way for so long. And also it creates all this suppressed forming energies, these patterns, these shadows. And when it's undealt with, it continues to form and grow. And it's basically these chains that hold you back. And the reason I came across this knowledge, the reason I came across this understanding is because some of you may know, but I was so focused on the high vibration game. So a lot of authors or channelers like Abraham Hicks, and I was so obsessed with raising my vibration, and there was a lot of testament to that. But unfortunately, the ceiling was only so high. I became obsessed with my emotional state, constantly shifting from anger or sadness back into happiness and love. And that's great to be aware on where you are in your emotional scale. But the thing is that awareness is important, but the rejection also of your own anger, of your own sadness, is rejecting your own guidance system. Because you came in here onto this planet, onto this earth, with a guidance system, a natural guidance system. It's in the synchronicities, it's in your sensations, your senses, it's in your emotions. So by rejecting your own sadness, by trying to push it away and only be happy, is also not dealing with and allowing your emotions to speak to you, because your emotions are constantly talking to you. Your inner state is constantly guiding you. And so something happens, you feel sad. Okay, well, it's not about the sadness, it's about the sadness is bringing forth to your attention something about that state. So something to learn, something to be aware of, and sometimes even just something happening in your life that you don't like, just even for the sake of showing you what you really do want. So, having a lot of actresses and actors say, okay, finally they've attained all the wealth and fame in the world and they still feel unfulfilled. And it's the same concept here. If they were chasing this idea, this ideology of what they think, it's not the same as actually listening to your guidance system. So that's essentially goal number one, is we want to listen to that guidance system. And so being obsessed with the vibration game was actually me not allowing myself to move through my own shadows, to actually address them, to feel them. And so that was the downfall in that perspective. But when I started dealing with those shadows, understanding my emotion state, I stopped looking at it as this negative thing and started looking at it as an opportunity for growth. And that also is an empowering perspective, because suddenly you don't look at negative things in your life as something you're a victim of. You look at it for how it's empowering you, and you can honestly pivot off of any kind of negative situation when you have a perspective like that. And it's something that helps you grow and empowers you, rather than puts you in a state of, stuckness or non-movement. So that's the important factor just to understand regarding that. And so I became really engrossed with this new understanding. And so instead of focusing on this high vibration game, which only held me so high, I then allowed myself to roller coaster and feel and deal with those emotions, only to shoot out higher than ever before. Because now I didn't have these chains holding me back. No matter how much I tried to raise my vibration, it was never going to raise above those shadows. And so much changed in my life. Not only just in my own abilities, but even just in general circumstances, my environment, the people I dealt with. There was so much that changed. And it was because I had made so much shift into a completely different version of me. And I would say and argue into just a more real version of me. And that's where quantum energy healing essentially ties in. So I'm super excited to share a little bit more about that, and also basically jump into our healing. So is there any questions so far? Just check the chats if we've got any questions. So, okay, Erica, you've tried self-worth, tried to work with meditations, hypnosis. So specifically tied to work, you say. It's crazy to think how I've missed out because I was too scared to face my own shadows. It's never been as bad as I thought. Yeah. And what is your definition of shadows? That's a good question. So it's great to also establish, what are the definitions that we're using. Fear is just an illusion, most definitely. It's a self-indulged illusion. But in terms of shadows, what I mean to say by that is essentially we can call it many things and we can define it as much as we like, but the overall arching idea is the contrast in our personalities, the contrast in our lives, most importantly, the contrast in us due to traumas, pains, things like that. So the shadows being the anger you sometimes feel and act out on with people, the the shadows being the fact that you feel you're not good enough for certain things. It's a lot of the time shadows are tied to limiting beliefs. A lot of majority of the time, really. Um, but yeah, I like to just call them roots essentially. So shadows is the more popular term, um, but they are interchangeable with roots. But that also being said, there are roots of the shadows. So that's why I'll use the two, so we can differentiate what I mean. Um, yeah, got some more chats here. Sometimes they look like mountains in the distance and molehills when you reach them. That is so cute. It's exactly that. Um, Especially when you're standing in more of your power and you have that courage and confidence, then they're definitely little molehills when you approach them. And it's just a matter of, okay, let's just clean it up. Okay. So just a little bit of background. So there's a lot of science, really. There's science around the basis of matter, the biofield of the energetic body. There's also experiments like with leaves, so Kirlian photography. There's been a lot of science in energy fields, and all sorts of things. Even Einstein had his own twist, but again, even that science in and of itself was still of a limited view. So what I'll just share in terms of quantum energy healing, just to cut to the chase, is it's essentially the recognition that we are multidimensional. With that recognition and knowledge, we are therefore one consciousness, and therefore we also have soul stream consciousness which connects to it. And we are also therefore choosing the point of perspective that we are living. And so with that knowledge, we can tap into these energy fields, right? And actually shift our point of perspective by bringing either through more of our soul, more of ourselves, by tapping into other timelines and also helping heal those, helping heal ancestral lines. And then it's pretty much quantum, as it says. So it's very difficult to sit and try and define and explain energy, because again, it's not a three-dimensional thing. It's so many different layers. And what's also interesting about quantum energy healing is it unfolds. So it starts and slowly but surely it unfolds. So even the healing itself, the knowledge of it, the things that are shared also unpack and unfold. So I don't know how many of you have been listening to channelers, or especially live channelings. Some of you have heard some of mine, and everyone honestly always gives me the feedback like, you said this one thing and it was like haha, and then 2 weeks later I was like ha 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 ha, because it just unfolds. And it's the same with quantum energy healing. The healing the healing itself also unfolds. So the intention for today, so it's something you need to experience. And that's why I'm not going to sit and talk about all the possible definitions and structures, and we can put it in as many boxes as we like, but let's just go ahead and experience it, right? So we'll do that tonight. And the idea and the intention is that we are going to do an energy clearing. And with that energy clearing, it's also a foundational layer for further healing to also come in later on, because we've got more clarity, connection, and tie. And also it's an exercise, especially the specific way I believe we'll do tonight. Again, I have an idea of how we'll do it, but when I tap in to the angelic realm, I'm pretty much they take the reins. So sometimes I might have a plan and a structure, and that's why when it comes to the session itself, I have an intention, but keep in mind it may slightly change the unfolding of it. So the intention is for a clearing, and it's definitely going to form a foundation for other healing. So with that being said, we can go ahead and get into it. Who's ready? Cool. All right, I'm going to get comfortable and just turn my light down a little bit so I can get a little more. Yeah, we've got a question before we start. Was that just a mistake? Oh, okay. No worries, Carmela. Okay. I look beautiful in the light. Oh, thank you, Larry. You can DM me after. Always with the jokes. Love it. Okay. I'm going to drink some water. And the idea is a lot of you will close your eyes, but if you do open them and see me doing some funky things with my hands, don't worry. It's not voodoo or anything like that. It's just some good vibes. So just go with the flow and feel and go into what looks right. But the important part is, go where you feel resonated to go, and listen to and vibrate with what you feel resonated to do, right? So if something pops up during the session where maybe you have some thought, it's okay. If it's just a conscious thought, then put your attention back to the sound of my voice. But if you have something else pop up, maybe a spirit guide, a deceased loved one, whatever, don't brush them away and be like, hey, Ken's talking. Allow that energy to come in. It's also okay. So we'll open the circle soon. I'm just going to get comfortable, take some deep breaths, and you can feel free to join me. And we can all get connected here. I'm just going to put a little timer on my watch because I'll need something to pull me out of trance if we end up taking too much time or something like that. While I set this alarm, just take a nice deep breath in through your nose. And out through your mouth. In through your nose. And out through your mouth. Again, in through your nose. And out through your mouth. On this next exhale, will be out on the count of 5, and then on the inhale, count on the 3, and again on the 5. So in 1, 2, 3, and out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again in and out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on this next inhale, I want you to get ready to breathe out with a hum and a sigh, letting all the tension go. So in and out. Again in and out. When you're ready, make sure you're comfortable in your seat. Feel your feet on the ground. And just breathe, feeling the air enter your lungs and exit. And now we'll place our attention and focus on our forehead and our scalp, feeling our hair, noticing any sensations we may feel there. Nothing right, nothing wrong, just noticing. And when you're ready, you can relax your scalp, relax your forehead. Place your attention on your eyes and let them deepen in their sockets. Let your eyelids lay easy. And just taking a moment for today. Taking a moment to rest your face now. Let your jaw unwind. Your cheeks sink. Focusing on your throat now and your neck. Letting the muscles go, your shoulders, your arms. Just resting, getting heavier and heavier. Your hands getting heavier and heavier, deeper, deeper as they rest on your lap. Your back, your chest, still noticing the gentle rise and fall of your breath. And just letting the muscles unwind. Your body has served you well today. It deserves a little break. So let's just feel all our muscles unwind. Focusing on your intestines now. They've been hard at work. Let them return to their baseline, their base function. Our stomach muscles unwinding, relaxing. Our lower back unwinding, relaxing. Our backside sinking in deeper into the chair. Just feeling yourself let go. Feeling yourself enter into a receptive state. How good it feels just to rest. How good it feels just to simply be. Allowing our legs now, our thighs, our calves to get heavier and heavier, and our feet now getting heavier and heavier. And as your feet get heavy, I want you to feel the floor beneath your feet. Feel the sturdiness, feel the rigidity. It's an unwavering structure, simply always providing support, as still as can be. No matter if you're on an apartment floor or on the bottom ground floor of your own house, the structure is connected to the earth, and therefore you are connected to the earth and it to you. So tune into that resonance, tune into that stillness. And as you do so, you may even sense the subtle vibrations in the floor. The floor itself is always vibrating. They are atoms. They're just doing so slowly that you are not perceiving it. But if you dial your focus just right, you may even sense it. And if you don't, it's fine. Just know that it is there. And know the stillness of it. And know that you are connected to the floor, and the floor is connected to the earth, and therefore you are connected to the earth. The earth is always supporting you. helping you stand. The earth is always there nourishing you, providing the food, nutrition, the oxygen you need. It does so without judgment. It knows no judgment. It is but a system of unconditional love right in front of us. If you want to know what unconditional love feels like, you already do. It is right there in front of us. And so as we tune into the earth through our feet, I want you to allow your feet to feel the vibrations, to sense it, and just imagine yourself extending your feet into roots. You may hear the sounds, you may sense or feel or see them. You may even smell the earth, whatever resonates with you. Just know that it is there growing, and allow these roots to grow deep, deeper and deeper, wider and wider, almost a mile wide now and deep. If you're not there yet, let them grow there. Take your time. Nothing to rush, nothing right, nothing wrong. Just surrendering to the experience. Good evening, dear loved ones. Tonight we are going on a journey to the depths of the consciousness you interact with but often forget. The consciousness of Gaia, a source of power, a source of streamed, shared awareness that is always available to you to tap into, but most importantly, a powerful transmuter. A transmuter of excess energies, a transmuter of shadows, a transmuter of light. Simply helping define and bring forth balance. So let us go on this journey, feeling into the roots that you already have. Sense the earth beneath your feet. Sense the trees and the plants also rooted in that same earth. Sense the animals that walk upon it, the birds that fly above, the insects that buzz in the night. Sense the intertwined interconnectedness of it all. Now the humans that walk upon it, without judgment, just feel and know your connection to this global consciousness, to which there is exciting change, there is much energy adrift, but for now feel the rooted stillness of it all. Feel the perfect harmony in all the chaos that exists. Tune in to the stillness of the earth. Like clockwork, always there, always reliable, always resonating at the same base frequency for your life, for you to be nourished, for you to be energetically bound and connected. So let us go on this journey. If you like, you can take my hand. Tonight, We're going to journey to the epicenter of it all, the epicenter of Gaia. And so should you wish, you can enter through the roots through which you have grown. Allow them to grow deeper and deeper, wider and wider, until you reach the center of the earth. And I want you to see and feel the love emanating from there. You may see it as you like. It can be an Eden, a forest, an ocean shore, a lake, a happy place. No matter, your symbolic awareness of it is all correct. Just simply know and connect with the love emanating from it, the energy emanating from it, feeling your connectedness to it. Let it wash over you, let it enter your roots. Let that love and light tingle along your roots. Let it rise inch by inch, mile by mile, all the way to the base of your feet. You may see the light as pure white or anything else, no matter. Know that your symbolic awareness from it and of it is yours, and the connotations do not matter. Again, just sense and attune yourself to this love. Feel the vibration rising. Feel the energy in your feet, in your calves, up your legs, into the base of your spine, aligning yourself to the Earth Star Chakra, or whatever you wish to call it, knowing that you are not defined by 7 energy system centers, but actually 12 and another, which is 13, so 12 plus 1. But no matter the details, just feel the light enter your spine, enter the base, through which it rises and rises, in and up and down your back. Let it wash up and down, and as it does so in the background, I want you to place your attention on your chest. Feel your chest. If you wish, you can place your hands on your chest. You may even feel the energies in there or around your arms, around your back, tingling as you feel the love and light from the earth, and as you tune yourself to your own heart and focus upon it. It may be a small light, it may already be big, but focus upon the center of your chest. And as you focus upon it, know that it is a limitless connection to the all of you. So allow it to come through in unencumbered fashion. Just simply noticing. If you do not visualize it, feel it. If you do not feel it, hear it. If you do not hear it, know it. Sense it, smell it, touch it. Just know that the light is there. It is but a song of light and love. So bring it through into your chest, and as it expands, I want you to meet the light of the earth and allow the light of the earth to meet you. So now that we've rooted your heart in the earth, we shall use Gaia, our great transmuter, to help you transmute any energies which you wish not to have, any patterns you wish to put aside for now, any excess energies, but most importantly, energies holding you back from healing, energies holding you back from starting the journey of stepping into your power. Let us clear all that aside here now, tonight, or today for those listening in. Another time, what a funny concept, time which does not exist, but yet is experienced here, on this earth, in this frequency. So as you build and draw upon all those energies you wish to transmute, allow them to wash into this light and be brought down into your roots and into the earth, and the earth without a second thought, with complete ease, simply transmutes it into neutrality, into the very baseline frequency. The frequency which you may feel now, you may attune to now, but just know it is working nonetheless. And so bring that energy of the earth up into your head. Allow your chest light to expand outwards. And now, instead of holding onto that light in your chest, let it flow out, not being scared or worried about if it were to disappear, but just let it flow like a breath exits you, only just to return. So let it out and let it come back in, and let it out and let it come back in, and again out and in. Just as easy as it is to breathe, as easy as it is to feel and sense the energy of your heart and to allow it to flow freely. Allow the energy of the earth to flow freely because you are connected to it. You do not need to do anything specific for it to work. And breathe. And allowing that light to enter your skull. You may see it in your third eye, you may not. You may feel it, you may sense the tingling on your scalp, or not, but know that it is working. Dear loved one, now let it rise out of your head. And as you breathe out, it only unfolds and expands around you, almost in a rainbow energy ball, orb-like fashion. A stream showering around you. And as this occurs, allow it to enter right back up through the base of your spine, right back up your feet, right back into your skull, mixing with your heart, mixing with the earth. And now, as we let it shoot out, we will tap into and attune into the energy centers that exist above our heads. The Shaman chakra, the star energy center, the center that encompasses much of your Wakaba, much of your DNA, much of our lives, that is also rooted into the crystalline structure of this earth, is all connected to that same energy center. And realizing that you are quantum, realizing that you are infinite, and you are a part of stream consciousness and awareness. Allow that energy to encompass you, to shower around you, and now in the same breath, share it with the circle here tonight. Let it grow. And as it grows, share it to your loved ones, friends and family. Share it with others that may watch this later. Share it with those that you do not know, the neighbors you have not spoken to. Just simply shine it out. Allow yourself to share it so you will receive it. attune yourself to the angelic energies that are present here tonight. And let them support you in this foundation that we have created, in this healing, this clearing, this transmutation. And allow them to support you for the rest of your journey, to heal yourself, to step into all of you, all of your power and your path and divine mission that you are excited for, that you are ready for. And I hope you feel that, because the energy is ripe. It is so clear. The grand collective purpose through which you are all a part. And when you're ready, with this newfound sense of uplifting energy, but at the same time grounded density, you can place your attention and focus back into this point in time, this perspective that you have chosen and that you are living, experiencing, and growing with. So feel those roots, feel those feet connected to those roots. Feel your legs, feel your backside. Feel your stomach, feel your lower back, feel your chest, feel your shoulders, feel your neck, your face, your head. And should you wish to, you can start to unwind your muscles, allow them to come back to life, to come back to this perspective. And when you're ready, with this new sense of being an observer, this new sense of understanding, this new sense of clarity, not just in mind, but energetic frequency, you can open your eyes and begin to see the colors and the lights entering the physicality that you are drawn upon and that you are rooted into. Feel grateful for this life, for this opportunity, for the experience that you are having. And for that, we welcome you back. Welcome back. Words are not needed. Again, it's nothing to describe, define. It is simply experiential. But should we attempt to describe and reflect upon our experience tonight in our three-dimensional language structure, let's strive to do our best. So if anyone would like to share what they felt, what they saw, you can come up and just share some reflections. And then after that, I also have something really exciting that I want to share with you guys. Not the Empath Elevation Blueprint, which will be in your inbox after the event, but actually something else that many of you have been asking about. Some of you, yes, a couple of you even tonight already know about it, have signed up for it, have been hearing me talk about it for weeks now. So I also would love to share that if you guys would like. And then after that, we can just jump to the floor and open up for any discussion regarding healing, shadows, and obviously the topic for this evening. So, with that being said, anyone want to share some of their thoughts and their feelings? No, not yet. You're also struggling to describe. Your ears are buzzing. The whole body is in tingles. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's especially for the empath, that's the most common symptom of energy work, especially quantum energy work. Hey, Richard, welcome back. I'm not sure if you missed some of the healing part, but luckily there will be a replay so you can tune to it again later. The visuals in my mind were amazing. Awesome. It's often quite overwhelming, especially with energy work, because it's just a different realm that I'll root myself into. So give me a moment to still come back to life. That was amazing. As soon as you start talking, I'm out. What, out sleeping? I also go for a little sleep, so it's all good. No, just zone out. That's also the fun thing. Sometimes it even works better for people when they even lose consciousness because there's no resistance, especially when they are struggling with their own resistance. So when I do the remote healing after sessions like this, so this would normally be kind of a session that would happen in quantum healing energy work. I'll actually do a follow-up 1 or 2 days later to allow these healings, these energies to also open up a bit like a flower. And then once it does do that, it's even more ripe in terms of being able to get even deeper to the roots, and that I normally do remotely because I go quite deep in trance to do that kind of work. So I have done countless meditations, but it often just sounds like words. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's not a meditation. It's more a guided healing than a meditation, right? I've also got some cool meditation. So those of you that have got access to the blueprint will actually also have some cool meditations, but that's more meditation. So yeah, exactly that. I saw bubbles of energy traveling along the roots coming up. Yeah, yeah. Perfect. A lot of people have different connotations and ways and symbolic visuals or feelings or sensations that they essentially have come to them, even perhaps seeing angels and wings and all sorts of things, but it's very much more symbolic. It's how you essentially view. And the reason why it unfolds that way is so that you have an understanding or concept of it. If it were to come in a more true form-like fashion, let's say, but a lot of the time our brains in this three-dimensional structure can't really comprehend it. So there's many times I've gone deep under, and there's still times that I don't know what was going on. It was just, it seems chaotic, but the more I deal with these quantum energies, the more they start to feel like perfect harmony and make total sense. My ear was clogged for a few days during the part on reaching to the star chakra. It suddenly cleared. Yeah. I felt amazing sense of physical warmth, calming, nurturing, and supportive energy around a bonfire. Yeah, it's exactly that community, that sense of circle, that sense of connectedness, and also the sense of Gaia. It's a very powerful energy that's always available to us. So when it comes to energy clearing work, that's normally what it is. What is the blueprint that you referenced? Oh yeah, well let me just share that. The blueprint elevation, the empath elevation blueprint is essentially something I'm quite excited about. So it launched today, and it's also free for all the community members. So if you haven't received it, there's a post in the community where you can simply just follow the instructions and you can claim it. And it's essentially a welcome gift to all empaths. I had designed this upon my own routine because it used to be a whole power hour thing. And for busy individuals, and myself especially included, it was just not something that could be maintained. So I took the exact essence of what was really the most important, what really had the most value, and devised it into less than 30 minutes per day. And there's different segments and portions of it. Some of you might even recognize an exercise or two, but there's lots that you might not even know of or have seen before, which is also exciting, especially those that have known me for quite some time. Essentially, you just download the app and share a little post or introduction if you haven't already. Many of you already have, and then you'll receive it. So that's what that is. It's more a routine based on what the empath needs to be able to always be rooted in their own essence, rooted in their own energy. In terms of energy healing, I do have something I'm super excited to share. So if you'd like, I can go ahead and share that before we move on to the general questions and answers segment of our evening, and also just chat a bit more and get more discussive. Often with energy work, people are quite quiet and mellow and chill and just like feeling the peace vibes. So we can just discuss a little bit about, I'm more used to jumping in and jumping out, even though it still takes me a little while because I sometimes, depending on how deep I go. Oh, that's funny. 12:12. So depending on the time zones that you're at, it'll be wildly different. But it's funny seeing that same little synchronistic number. Always fun to play with the universe. Anyway, so if you would like, I would be excited to share that. I know some of you have asked, but if not everyone is interested or wants to hear more about that, then I'll just do another video or something to share it with more of those specific people that have asked. So just give me an indication in the chat if you would like to hear a little bit about it. I think what's our time? So probably the next 5 minutes, and then we'll move on to Q&A. So that I just have an indication. Sure. Okay. Cool. Yes, please. Yes. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick rundown then. Yes. Yes. Okay. Cool. So the reason I'm so excited about this product is because I'm also launching a podcast next year. Early next year. The hope is that it's done by the beginning of February. So fingers crossed on that one. It's been delayed each time because there's just so many people that I've been also trying to help heal that it's been a bit more of a priority, but I also want to reach the masses and help raise consciousness. So it means more and more of my time is becoming less available. So, I went to the drawing board and I said, how can I get this healing into the hands of many without it having to be one-on-one, without it having to be so extensive on my time and other people's time. And it was something that just, even my own limitations, I had to really realize what the power of quantum energy healing is and how it's not tied to any kind of live session. And so I started experimenting more with it within the people that I was already helping, doing some more remote healings, even these sessions themselves, and started seeing some really interesting results and stuff. And so essentially what I did was I've gone and mimicked my one-on-one coaching into a self-led course. So it's basically encompassing majority of what most people need in terms of healing, based on all the people that I've seen. Let me go ahead and just share this visual because it's much easier just to show rather than speak. Here we go. It's this one. So let me know if you can see my screen. I think you can. Yeah. So this is essentially what happened. I said, okay, well, how can we do it in a more scalable fashion? And so I'm quite excited about this because I'm releasing I'm opening the registration for the beta version today. Each week consists of quantum energy healing, right? Then the deep remote angelic realm healing that I do, as well as guidance coaching and Q&A and obviously feedback as well. So I'm also wanting feedback for this first program, these first people, and we already have 3 tonight that already signed up. So you already know who you are. But the idea is that, and let me just zoom in here so in case you need to see it a little better. There we go. So the idea is there's themes for each week. It's a 7-week system. And week 1, so what that entails, each week consists of basically 3 elements, right? And so week 1 is past self deconditioning. Then we've got early childhood healing, heart center healing and flow. And what do I mean by flow? Majority of empaths and light workers, often their energy center on the chest is quite open in the front, but 90% of the time, the people I find, it's closed on the back. And it's because there's so much love outwards, but there's such a difficulty to love the self. And so again, it's almost like a holding back of your own power. And so, yeah. But anyway, so the one after that would be connecting you to more of your power. So it's essentially connecting you to more of your soul. That we have ancestral healing, throat center healing and clearing, and then the clearing of energetic ties. And of course, everyone has access to the Empath Elevation Blueprint that's in the program. It's a slightly different version to the one that you would have, simply because there would also be some elements from the program. And then you would also get 3 months access to the Inner Circle. And also you would be part of the accelerator group. So essentially, this is the beta version. So I have no idea, essentially, how it's going to unfold. It's based and mimicked exactly off of the one-on-one quantum energy healing. But there may be some hiccups along the way. There may be some things that there may be some gaps. And so that's why I'm looking for only a certain number of people, particularly not more than 10, to actually join the beta version, so that I can get some regular feedback. So in the weekly coaching calls, there'll be regular feedback. And so that will be for you guys as well as me especially, because if there are any kind of gaps, then I want to close them. So what that would mean is if there are any gaps, the 7-week program would become a little longer. So it could be 8 or 9 just to close those things. It could entail doing some live calls, for example, like this one, or even some one-on-ones, depending on the situation. And that would just be essentially what the admin of it would entail. But the promise is that you would heal after those 7 weeks, or 8 or 9 if need be. And so that's why I'm quite excited about it, because if this turns out the way we're expecting, then that could really mean that even quantum energy healing, even helping people around the world, is scalable. And that's an interesting concept. If we can get the healing into the hands of many, that's crazy. So how does one sign up? How does one claim the empath gift? So the empath gift is not to be confused with the total transformation system. It is included inside, but the total transformation system is essentially the 7-week program, and the empath elevation blueprint is the routine blueprint that many of you have already gotten access to and will receive in your inbox after this event. And that's basically more focused on the routine, which also is an important element for the basis of the 7-week system. It's every person that I help, every light worker that I come across that we do, one-on-one healing with, all their programs all incorporate that same empath elevation blueprint, because it's so important for the constant rerouting and recalibrating daily. And again, it only takes 30 minutes in total. So 15 in the morning, 12 in any time in the afternoon, and then a few minutes again in the evening. So it's really doable. And so that's what the empath blueprint is, Larry. Anyway, so in terms of registrations, I'll hurry up and we can move on to Q&A. Registrations are opening today. Even so, already had opened earlier today, so there's already 3 signed up. And so I don't want to take more than 10, just because if I do need to close gaps and I want to keep it kind of in a circle, that's why I'm only mentioning it to the community. It's not public or anything like that, because I want you guys to help me essentially, build it. And it also means that this first segment is offered at a ridiculous investment value as well. But besides that, it also means we're going to have our live sessions. So it's basically an accelerator group where we're all going to go through the program together. And I'm quite excited about that. So I'll shut up about that now, because if I start talking about all the things that we're doing, some of I won't stop. So any other questions? And we can open it to the floor about the system, the blueprint, or even the topic matter of tonight. Can open the floor for all questions. How do people sign up? What day of the week and what time? Yeah, so the days of the week and time is actually going to be built upon the people's availability. So and also to answer the other question, how do people sign up? We can kill I hate that saying, but we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. How terrible. But anyway, let me share that sign up form. So essentially, this is the sign up form. If you can see here, oh no, hold on, that's the wrong one. There we go. It's this one here. So can you guys see that? Yeah. All right. So this is the sign up form. So all you're going to do is, if you're wanting to be a part of the accelerator program and the group that's going to go through all the 7 weeks of healing, it's basically the sign up is going to open up today. And so all you have to do is go ahead and hit the next button, simply answer a couple of the questions. And of course, it's an application form, so not everyone will be, in the program. We first want to stipulate, firstly, if it's right for you. And again, we'll only be able to accept 10. So it closes this Sunday, which is the 15th, the registrations. We might extend that because there's been a few requests of some people being away and that sort of thing. But nevertheless, it's only going to be accepting around 10. So we won't hold any more people. But all you have to do is just read the different sections on the form, answer the questions, also share your availability, which is, as you asked Cassandra, right over here. So you just basically, based on EST times, just so we can keep it the same for everyone. So if you PST, no worries, just do the little conversion. That way we don't have to convert 50 people at the same time. That would be kind of logistical nightmare. So just share if you're available Monday mornings, Monday afternoons, Monday evenings, etc., etc. So any days of the week. It's most likely going to be on a weekend. because from what we found, that's mostly when people are already available. Yeah, it's please also don't share this with anyone. This is only for our inner circle community. Well, not inner circle, but just this community, the new one. So the fact that you're all on this call means you're a part of it. This is really not for the public. This is only something I'm doing for you guys, and something I want you guys to be a part of. So yeah, and then essentially it would just be signing up on the form and a $55 deposit, which you will get back should, for whatever reason, we decide perhaps it's not going to be suitable for you. And that's essentially it. And the program itself will start on the 11th of Jan. But enough about that. So is there any other questions? We can answer a few more about the program, but I signed up for GoLab. It sent me a note in the blueprint, but I didn't see a download. Or does it get emailed? It will be directly in your inbox. So there will be a post directly after this event, and it'll also have instructions, but essentially, don't worry. In the chat on the top right, there's a chat, whether you're on the app or even on the browser. So even though you downloaded the app, maybe you're using the browser for some reason, you'll be able to see it directly inboxed to you. So you'll have access to that in about an hour or so. So yeah, and those that haven't received it yet, go ahead and check out the instructions and you can still get it. I'd really love all of you to have access to that because it's really what's helped root me. It's one of the foundational keys that has helped me along the way for my own empathic and healing journey. So it would be nice that you all of you actually have that. Can you share the sign up link? Yes, of course. So let me share that for you guys already. And while we're doing links, I'll also just share the Soul Circle support link. So if any of you guys want to support the event tonight, that is the link. But any cool, interesting questions or reflections that anyone wants to share related to our healing this evening, or anything you want to bring up? Carmela, yeah. Yeah. So Gaia is what many people refer to as the Earth consciousness, right? So people often talk about Gaia, they're talking about Earth, right? The entity that I actually connected with this evening was, yes, firstly Gaia, of course, as many of you did, but thereafter it was an angelic entity, of which I don't really have a name that I could share because it's not translatable, if that makes sense. So I just call that group of entities just the angelic realm. And I just kind of just call it at that. No, not at all. Because remember, especially these very high frequency realms, they do not communicate in language of three-dimensional language like we do. In fact, many of the realms deal with more telepathic kind of communication, but this realm specifically is very energetic. And so if I had to tell you the name, it's basically song. It's an angelic song. Yeah, that's why I just call it angelic realm, and it's a group consciousness of energies. It's also sometimes what I refer to as the blueprinters, same realm, but there's different versions of the blueprinters. So I was connecting to the more angelic side and not as much the cognitive side, where sometimes if I would channel, sometimes I channel from them, but it's more a conscious information that starts coming through. So perspectives, understandings, things like that. So there's many entities I sometimes connect with. Yeah. Yes. Look, again, spirit guides. Often we see ourselves separate of things. We see everyone has a singular soul, and we all have some spirit guides. If those of you that are even more enlightened, extensions of three, many of you might see the extension of three spirit guides. But again, these are extensions of your soul. So they are not different from you. They are a part of you, just like another individual, even in this call, could be a part of your stream consciousness. So to say that we are essentially waves in time, right? We can pretend to be individual droplets as much as we like and choose to believe that, but it doesn't take away our very nature that we are, in fact, the entire ocean. We are, in fact, the waves of that ocean. And so, different consciousnesses, streams of consciousness could, I suppose, be defined as waves. So you might resonate with certain, let's say, soul tribe members more than others, because it's like a prism of light. At the base it's white, and then it branches out into many different colors. So you might enjoy the consciousness more of the red light or the purple light, simply because you are more embodied in that, but it doesn't negate your connection to the source either. So yes, we could say some of them are my spirit guides, and particularly when it comes to healing, I do have, at least I used to have a guide I would call upon more particularly. This was a guide that was perceived to me many years ago first as a very grand, ancient, marble-like being, very difficult to describe, and very large, very, very also tender and soft. But slowly but surely, as I've also changed my energy works and my own consciousness and expanded in many ways, the way I perceive some of these energies now have also changed. So I don't see the guide like that anymore. I now see that guide that I used to now more as the angelic realm. So do you get what I mean by also changing and understanding and expanding my own perspective? I would say I started to connect with perhaps a more truer essence or source of what that reality was, not my symbolic understanding or perception of it. So yeah, but the main entity I suppose I would normally channel, especially when it comes to discussive stuff, would be Anak. And so a couple of you have had the pleasure to meet him. I know Larry likes to sometimes meet him. He's been writing a book with me. So we've been channeling mostly Anak. And that's been fun. He's got quite a sense of humor. But yeah, any other? Not at all, because yeah, I become completely immersed, and so their intentions are clear as night and day. And my intentions to them are clear as night and day. There's no hiding anything, because it's a realm of complete clarity. They can see immediately, and they can also see immediately the energies around someone, why it's there, what is the root of it, what has been happening. And so that's also the type of knowledge that I had been bringing in through a lot of the healing work that I've done, because often we would do an energy reading session and say, okay, well, these are the things that are going on from this, and that. And someone's like, oh, wow, I didn't realize or ever think of it like that. So the intentions is there's no ways of hiding that. It's becoming completely open. To channel, you have to become completely open. And of course, there's different, let's say, layers as you work with your own ability to communicate. And you'll notice even some channels, the more, let's say, they move through their own consciousness and their healing, even their channeling will start to change. And the type of information they bring through starts to also shift in a slightly different direction, because that's what they're connecting with. Yeah. 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 Look, the first path that I always recommend to anyone who's looking to expand their own spiritual gifts, because we all have many. We are innate. We are all human. We are all souls, and so therefore we all have connection to it. So anyone can learn to be a medium too. Anyone can learn to connect with themselves and other energies. Um, yes, some people have, again, like any inclination in life, perhaps a tendency to be more inclined to something. Some people are naturally better at singing, but we can all learn to train our voice to be a better singer. And it's the same. But the biggest recommendation and caution I would always say is focus on your healing, because there's so much that comes from your healing that automatically makes your spiritual unfolding completely different and also easier. You know, I was very open as a child, and a lot of the stuff I dealt with was heavy and negative, and it's because I wasn't rooted and empowered in myself. And so, what was the use of focusing on, you know, learning more about the gift? Sure, in terms of a control and an understanding point of view, yeah. But in terms of, let's say, get heightened levels, what was the point if it's something that was just overwhelming me? If it was just something I had no control of. So the first point and foremost is you're a human having a human experience. Um, Focus on that first. Focus on the energies that are holding you back already now. Focus on the energies that you need to communicate with, delve into, transmute, change, shift, whatever. And already automatically your vibration starts to change, you start to change, and even your gift and soul starts to come more through. And as more of your soul and more of yourself comes in, the more you can connect with all of you, which is also all of your gifts. And so, Carmela, you were talking about communicating and connecting with your spirit guides, and you really tried, but think about it. Is it difficult to be yourself? Perhaps. Is it difficult for an animal to be an animal? Is it difficult for an ant to simply be an ant? So, if you can just simply be a human and simply allow yourself, then you're already one step closer, because it's the art of allowance, and it's also the art and understanding and perspective that you are it. So connect with you first, and the rest can also unfold. So that's just the best, summary or thing that I would be able to share just from my experience, that if I had focused on that first, things would have been a lot more smooth sailing. And even my gifts themselves is like, just a couple of years ago, things are very different. And it's just because I was so more focused on myself first, rather than continuously just, okay, let's, do this, do that. Oh, I'm so drawn to spirituality. It's good. You have that calling, that yearning for a reason. But sometimes if we were just a bit strategic about it, it's also not a bad way. I used to. I used to, especially when I was first getting into energy work a long time ago. I used to use a lot of little crystals and things like that. Um, Now I don't so much. Um, yeah, look, again, it's all about intention, right? So how you choose you're empowering the crystal, the crystalline structure of that item, with intention, with purpose. So you would, okay, is it the crystal that has the power, or is the power actually with you? Who gave it the intention? So you also got to look at it that way and understand. But it is, again, like bicycle wheels, the trainer wheels. It's good to sometimes use different items, like, let's say, tarot cards or pendulums or crystals, when it comes to learning more about your spiritual gifts, etc., etc. Yeah, Yin, the power is you. And also, I liked your comment about they don't have names, they are collective. In many cases, that's exactly true. Um, um, yeah, in fact, Anak is a collective, but he gave me the name Anak because that was one of my first lives on a completely different planet. But without that sidetrack, I was reading your comments. We were saying that the tricky part is we don't want to become dependent on these tools, right? So it's great to help the process, but you don't always have trainer wheels on your bicycle. You want to do some cool tricks. You want to be free, and so you eventually got to come the time where you use it a little bit less and start just being you. Yeah, Cassandra. All good, all good. I completely understand. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No. Help. I completely understand. There is an art of allowance and acceptance to it, right? But, you know, the same thing is, do you feel called to research? Do you feel that when you want to do that research is because you don't believe you know, or because you feel called and intrigued and interested, right? Because sometimes it's like, man, like I just got to know something, and that's not the energy that you want to be researching that in. But if it's like, I should just Google this thing, do it. Because what happened for me, especially in the beginning, was that other things would help trigger my experiences, would help trigger those circumstances. So I would be listening to some person talk about their near-death experience or something, and suddenly I would have to take the earphones out and start, like, I would receive a transmission, and I'd be starting to talk to some entity. Or I'll be researching something and suddenly I will have a vision and a memory of a past life just because I was researching about let's say I was researching about some ancient civilization. Suddenly I have remembrance, which even had nothing to do about the ancient civilization I was reading about, but it was just the trigger. So allow those little things, those little niggles to pull you in. But don't become dependent of thinking you need research, because remember, it's all in here. You're actually the one that has access to all of your own history. Your DNA has it. So the only best person to ask is you. So by coming connected and more rooted in your own energy, your own DNA, you can also help unfold and retranscribe and also access that own, Akashic record, if you will. And so then there will be more and more information that is available to you. So, and practice tools and things like automatic writing. I feel like you're a writer. Go and do a little bit of writing. If you struggle, use your non-dominant hand. It will feel like exactly. It will feel almost useless, but pull into it and just let it write what it wants to write, and suddenly you'll start to have and feel that connection. And if you need to do a little bit of a ritual or a practice or a meditation beforehand, there's a lot of techniques to unfold those mechanisms of communication. But just know it's also the subtleties. Don't ever negate the subtleties. Even now, I still have to sometimes be like, subtlety, because it helps emphasize and bring forth even the greater unfoldings. Don't expect something big. Acknowledge the subtleties. If you don't acknowledge the subtleties first, nothing else follows. Carmela. Extraterrestrials, yeah. Well, well, the are you talking about the aliens night? Yeah, yeah. The only time I was ever scared was in that exact abduction experience, because it was just, yeah, yeah. Well, the experience that I shared, it was that was. No, you can go and watch the replay. It's on the replay section in the community, but that was it was just such a physical experience, because I've gone to all sorts of parts of the universe, and it's always interesting and fun, and it's not physical. I'm there etherically, and so that experience was physical, and like it just gave me a whole different feel of reality of like, holy shit, this is happening. So yeah, that was probably the one of the times I was scared in my most recent years. But before that, it was much more when I was much younger. I was studying medicine, and I was going through this old hospital, and my gift was my communication line was starting to open again, because I had blocked it out from youth, from very difficult experiences. And so it started opening, and it was just a difficult time, because now I'm walking through this hospital, and all I could feel was thick smoke, and I was struggling to walk, struggling to breathe, and people often had to be like, "Are you okay? What's happening?" And I often had to like really not join on some practicals and examinations, because I would faint. It would just be too much. All these energies and all these things wanting something from me. So yeah, that was a difficult time. In yeah. Yeah, yeah. In which experience are you talking about now? W- yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you how I found out. So, I was hell bent on finding the source of my soul and who it was, and I became so intrigued of opening. The reason it started is I was focusing more on opening my DNA and remembering and being more intertwined with it, so that I could start healing. I could start doing other things, not be so bound by the three dimensions. But in doing so, I started having more memories come through from past lives. At first, it was actually a lot of negative things, remembering death, remembering war, remembering me murdering someone with my bare hands, and thinking, whoa, this is intense. But then it started also coming in with sweet memories, memories of being a mother, memories of other types of things. and also then memories back to places like Atlantis and stuff like that. But also memories from other lives. And sometimes it just started becoming even more organic during that phase, especially. Um, I would meet someone and I'd be like, I know this person. And suddenly I would see an image of them and I would remember a life that I had with them, sometimes on this earth, but sometimes not. Um, and the type of stuff that I would see would be crazy, and I would just be like, "Whoa, that's nuts!" And then later that night, I would have a dream about that place, and it would just remind me, and I would be like, "Oh my gosh, this is real!" And the more I started having that, the more rooted I started learning about those places. Um, Especially the ones that obviously I lived on. I haven't had any, at least I believe I haven't had any memories or visions of places I haven't lived at. I feel it's more like it's a memory rather than traveling, especially like an astral travel or something like that. But I was really so intrigued and focused on fine. I wanted to know my soul name. That was I wanted to know the name. I wanted to know the name I'm meant to channel. I wanted to know that. And so I became quite like intrigued and I went down this little rabbit hole and eventually started realizing the lineage of it and eventually finding that first planet and realizing, oh my, the answer was so obvious from the start. If I had realized and remembered where I used to look up in the heavens as a kid, what I used to think and what I used to say, it was like super obvious. But sometimes we have to go on the journey and be like, duh. So that's how it unfolded, and that was the name that I had on that first, let's say, more physical reincarnation planet, was Anak, and the planet being Mintaka. So yeah, and then I started remembering a lot about that place, and yeah, but again, fun and useful. And for me, it was there was something that I had to learn from that, because of the path that I'm walking. But again, none of that happened without the healing prior, right? So I was obsessed before, and I was even almost frustrated sometimes trying to connect and communicate with certain things. But when I completely let go and I said, that will happen when it needs to, and I started actually focusing more on my own well-being, my own healing, my own things, that's when all that shifted, and eventually I got that thing in the end. So yeah, Cassandra. Yeah, I think Cassandra wanted to say something relevant on that previous question of yours. What do you mean by windows and portals? Let's start there. That's an interesting question. That's actually a very interesting question. Um, and when it comes to communicating with what I call more the galactic, so extraterrestrials that are in the physical, so other beings, let's say Octurians, Pleiadians, whatever, um, it's a more portal like experience, as you described. So it is a more me basically projecting my consciousness and then meeting them halfway and talking to them. Um, but then here's the funny part, sometimes they may come through in a channeling, which is usually more me letting go. So I often essentially let go. It depends on how deep the trance state gets. So there's also channeling where it's conscious channeling. So that would be, I just know stuff, right? So I would be tapping into my own rootedness, my own soul. At least that's how I describe it. But then when it comes to those deep trance states, I'm still there, but I'm more a participant than, or more an not so much an active participant, more observing participant. So I'm still connected. I'm still seeing and understanding what they're trying to say, and reciprocating and communicating that. But it is very much a letting go and letting it come to you. And so there's, in that state, it can often be anyone of a certain frequency, of a certain vibration. So basically, I'm taking my state to a certain vibration. I'm going within my soul to be in that vibration, and then there could be all sorts of entity consciousness that connect. And that's why often I don't have a lot of control in the process. I can sometimes be more specific, but it's quite a tricky art, at least for me now, to be specific, but also completely allowing at the same time. So I find it easier just to completely allow and just let, because often my ego is like, oh, I would like to speak to this one. But sometimes it's like, actually, everyone else in the room needs to hear from this one. So I usually, majority of the time these days, just allow whatever entity feels needs to connect with the consciousness that I'm channeling for or with, and that's how it happens. So usually that's, especially in these kinds of settings, it's more allowance. When I'm looking for some kind of answer, then it's usually, let's say, the portal type of analogy where it's more of the projecting. Larry and Matt. No. That was an order. Yeah. 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 That's an interesting question. I don't believe I've ever tried to allow, let's say, for example, some kind of deceased member in terms of the more mediumship aspect to actually come through and talk through me. Um, it would be an interesting boundary to experiment with. But remember, the difference is, it's difficult to define these things, but the difference here is essential. And the deceased member you're connecting with, for example, when it comes to mediumship, is not the source energy that they actually are. And so a person on the physical plane, rooted into their perspective, wants to hear more physical things from their experience with them. So let's say it's a grandmother or a mother, right? They want to hear more evidential and they want to connect more directly with that consciousness. They're not asking, hey, can I connect with everything that is my mom and all of existence that is my mom? They're asking, can I connect with that perspective which I experienced with her? And so the place I normally then go to is actually a place of a cache, a place of remembrance of the crystalline structure of the earth that is holding that essence of that experience. So it's only a specific portion of truth, a portion of perspective, a portion of energy. And so that's the person, that's the energy that walks into the room and starts talking to me and start relaying the information for. And so that's why it's very rare I do more mediumship, stuff these days, just because it feels a little bit more dense in relaying that information. And a lot of the time, sometimes people need that and they need to feel that and resonate with that. But I'm also just a fan of stepping into the higher frequencies so that there's even more that can be unfolded. There's even more that can be done. And often those kinds of connections are even more energetic. So it's not even so much what is being said in terms of perspective, but it's actually what are the seeds that are being given to that person so that they can start having those perspectives unfold. So that's the difference. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't. Yeah, in the short answer of thing, I haven't tried it in that way. So that would be an interesting experiment to see if that were possible. Yeah. Um. No. I don't know if it's fear so much. I have to hold myself in a slightly different vibration. I'm more used to now stepping into my soul and then like shifting quickly. So sometimes it even takes a bit more concentration for the mediumship stuff, which in the past was more my inclination, but now is less so. But yeah, it would be an interesting experiment to be in the art of allowance, but not allowing at the same time my vibration to be too contrasting that it's not that energetic consciousness sharing the message. Um, yeah, one would have to just I would just have to play and test and see. But it would be an interesting experiment. Yeah, yeah. Matt. Yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. Matt's talking just about yeah in general. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Everyone's so excited about the blueprint. Me too. But hey. Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly why I'm always putting so much emphasis on, heal you, because if you have less limiting beliefs and perspectives and fears, when you tap into those modalities or your abilities or gifts, you're not going into it with so much chains, right? You're not going into it with so much limiting beliefs, and therefore you are able to have more trust. You are able to have more of that surrender. So I think that's also what Matt is getting at, and it's 100% accurate because um, it's not always an easy task. It's This world is designed to have contrast so that we can grow, but sometimes we can pick up some limiting beliefs along the way. And, if you don't get it first time, don't stress. Um, yeah. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, yeah. No, I understand. Like that can be the case in many occasions. There are often some kinds of ties. But remember, whether there are ties or not ties, it's always rooted in growth, and you can always transcend that circumstance. And so there's this. It's a very complex question because there can be a variety of reasons. But I'll tell you from the most common stuff that I deal with. Um, there's often some kinds of shadows deep rooted. And so, as you peel that onion, as you start to go within, you start to draw more, you start to understand more, there's always even then more to unfold and follow. And so, it can be quite a progressive, slow, um, you know, unfolding. Um, and especially when, let's say you make some kind of progress, the universe is always good at testing you. So you have a shift in consciousness, you have a shift in understanding, but are you embodying that unconditional nature in that trust and in that perspective of, for example, self-love? Let's say, for example, it's someone that tests that. It's someone that makes you feel certain things and triggers in certain ways. Let's say maybe it's got to do with self-love as a root, as just a random example. This person will then again trigger those circumstances and the way you then deal with that the second time round, for example, whether it be this person, a new person who just acts the same no matter, it's also then testing, are you truly embodied and rooted in that new way, in that new version of you? And if you just decline or fall to that old habit of you, then clearly that root is still too deep or still too prominent there. It doesn't negate any of the healing that you've done, but it just means there's still some more to be done, some more to be looked at, because it's always a reflection from within. When I was doing a lot of healing, not just for myself, but then also other people, it's just crazy how even the same people in their lives start to shift and change because of the healing work that they go through. And so there's many aspects through which you can look at it. But at the end of the day, when you see that person as a source of growth, as a source of opportunity, as a source to actually help you expand, not to say accepting the lack of boundaries, not to say accepting something you shouldn't accept, but it's to say not to look at it in a victim mentality, not to look at it in a way that, oh, this is something terrible I'm experiencing. Rather, it's something that I am observing. It's something that I am learning from and growing from. And already that's a new empowering way to act. So already that type of energy already doesn't have a lot of hold on you. But yeah, that's also why I do a lot of quantum energy healing work. Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, that's also why I do a lot of quantum energy healing work, because we heal those roots, transmute them, and then it allows a lot of these perspectives to come out right much quicker, all this suppressed energy to come out really quickly. So it just facilitates the speed of that whole, long journey process. So yeah, but that's the background of all the possibilities with the limited limited context that I have. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We all are. We all are. Well, funny enough, the program that the 7 week total transformation program actually does have the connection ties in that. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, week 7. It's the last week. But what that is I don't do cutting off cords. What we do is we transmute that energy. So cutting cords just means it grows back. We go to the seed of it and we uproot it essentially. And we also transmute that. So we send that person good vibes and disconnect them from you, for example. And not just that person, but all the possible ties you have, even ties to your alternate self sometimes that you need to let go of. So it can encompass many things. But that is also we are transmuting it. We are bringing it to base and we are giving it. So when that person decides also that they're ready, they will actually also then have some healing come to them, because there's that healing energy around them waiting to enter, should they have the question of, I'm ready for something now. And suddenly they will also start to have some shifts in their own mindsets and things, rather than cutting a cord and trying to push away a person. You're rejecting them from your nature and you're rejecting them from your own experience, which is also negating your own human experience. And that's actually a disempowering mentality, which also further removes you from your own power. So yeah, it's a complex statement. We could be talking about this kind of stuff for days, and believe me, I love to. No worries. No worries. I think it's because we were already we were already quite over the time, so I think everyone was already getting onto their dinners and whatnot. But no worries. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, yeah. But again, that's not the thing. It's not. Yeah, but it's not rejecting someone out of your life, right? Because you can. I'm done with you, and then suddenly the same narcissist is around the other corner, just in a different body, right? So unfortunately, we can't just wash. Yeah, exactly. But that's why your own healing is so important. So we get so distracted in this environment around us, not realizing that like there is no like entering of such toxicity if there weren't cracks to enter in, right? And so it's okay. All of us have these cracks. All of us are dealing with it. All of us are navigating all of this. This is the part of the experience here. It's part of our growth. But it's by just acknowledging the fact that there is no circumstance that you are a victim of. We have chosen this experience and we are still choosing that experience, whether we agree with it in our ego state or not. Especially when we're in difficult places, we think, no, this is terrible. But meanwhile, after we've overcome, we see, I see how this journey led me to this and led me to that and led me to that. And believe me, on the afterlife, on the other side as well, it's even more like that. So, um, that's why the emphasis is so much on healing the internal and and transmuting some of those ties and blocks and suppressed emotions and energies. But yeah, so yeah. If you like, we can also continue the chat in the. I still need to follow up on your last comment. I think we kind of spoke a little bit about it now, but we can also continue talking a little bit about it there. Um, and yeah, perhaps this is also a topic matter that we can also have an event on in the future as well in January, because I think you're bringing to my attention there's a lot to discuss here as well, right? So yeah, but mm, yeah, mm, 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 yeah. No, I understand. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found the community. Because yeah, you're not crazy. There's just more to unpack. That's all. But just know that you are an empowered, powerful, enlightened being. And that's your true essence. So just remember that and let that also help protect you. But if anything, I think this quantum energy healing will already create a lot of clearing and support a more protective foundation. But yeah, again, like seriously, if you like, just on the description of all this stuff, I'll share the link here again for the transformation program. I actually think that it would be um, quite suitable for you just based on some of the stuff that we've already discussed. Um, yeah, so definitely do that. But yeah, let's continue the chats in the community, and I'll see you on the next one. And in the meantime, cool. Ciao, ciao.